Welcome to Star Watch Now, your front row seat to all the hottest gossip, drama, and breaking news from the world of entertainment. If it's trending, shocking, or star-studded, we're covering it. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Forget everything you thought you knew about global beauty. Because two men from the East didn't just walk into the spotlight, they redefined it entirely. No scandals, no noise, just grace, quiet charisma, and a presence that stopped Hollywood in its tracks. In an age where attention is often seized with spectacle, noise, and relentless self-promotion, the quiet emergence of Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo felt almost like an act of defiance. Their ascent wasn't built on scandal, controversy, or viral gimmicks. It was something altogether more elusive: presence. The kind that doesn't need to declare itself to be felt. The kind that lingers long after the lights fade. When the world first collectively turned its gaze toward them, it wasn't because they forced it to. There were no grand statements, no headline-grabbing antics. Instead, it was a stillness, profound, graceful, undeniable, that drew people in. They didn't knock on the door of global attention. They simply stood before it, and it opened. Xiao Zhan, with his soft yet unwavering composure, radiates a warmth that disarms. His movements are not dramatic, yet they carry weight. Wang Yibo, deliberate and enigmatic, wears silence like armor, but it speaks louder than words ever could. Together, they offer a striking contrast. One like a gentle breeze, the other like a calm storm. And it is precisely this duality that captivated audiences worldwide. Their rise is not the kind we're used to. It doesn't clamber or clatter. It listens, observes, and then, slowly but inevitably, reshapes the room. It reminds us that revolution doesn't always come with thunder. Sometimes, it arrives in a glance, a pause, a presence too sincere to be ignored. They didn't fight for recognition, they made it impossible to overlook. And in doing so, they proved something vital. That quiet doesn't mean weak. That beauty doesn't have to shout. And that true charisma, the kind that moves across cultures and languages, begins not with noise but with authenticity. For far too long, the world's standard of beauty has been narrowly defined, shaped by the familiar angles of Western cinema, the sculpted icons of Hollywood, and the cultural blueprint that often overlooked anything that dared to be different. But now, a quiet yet powerful shift is underway. It doesn't come in the form of rebellion, it comes in the form of grace. The East is no longer asking to be seen. It is being seen, and in that act, the map of global beauty is being redrawn. Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo stand at the forefront of this shift, not as challengers, but as redefiners. They are not attempting to fit an old mold. They are quietly breaking it apart. Their appeal is not rooted in the familiar, but in the distinctly unfamiliar features, presence, and energy that do not echo the West, but rather whisper something entirely new. It's not just about aesthetics. It's about cultural resonance. It's about a kind of beauty that reflects balance, introspection, strength wrapped in softness, and power restrained by poise. When Xiao Zhan stands in a quiet moment, eyes downcast, the world pauses. When Wang Yibo moves with quiet precision, the atmosphere shifts. In their expressions, there is depth. In their silence, narrative. They are not beautiful in the way the West has taught us to recognize, but they are beautiful in a way the world is only now learning to feel. What makes this transformation so profound is not simply that the East is offering a new definition of beauty. It's that the world is listening, not just with their eyes, but with their hearts. And in that collective recognition, something historic is unfolding. This is not a passing trend. It's a permanent change. The standard is evolving, and the East holds the pen. In a world saturated with fame, where celebrity is often a product of noise, algorithms, and relentless visibility, the quiet power of presence feels almost revolutionary. Fame can be manufactured, can be bought, boosted, broadcasted, but presence cannot. It is earned, sensed, and felt, an intangible force that doesn't demand attention, but naturally holds it. And this is where Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo transcend the traditional architecture of stardom. Their impact doesn't lie in how many followers they have, how often their names trend, or how many magazine covers they grace, though all of those are true. What sets them apart is how they exist within a space. There is something in the way Xiao Zhan enters a room, not with dominance, but with quiet assurance. Something in the way Wang Yibo observes before he speaks, as if every moment matters. Their energy shifts the atmosphere, not through performance, but through sincerity. Presence is more than being seen, it is being felt. It is the kind of influence that can't be measured, only remembered. When they appear on screen, their stillness speaks volumes. When they stand in silence, it is louder than applause. Audiences across cultures are drawn not just to their talent, but to something deeper, the emotional gravity they carry. This is a kind of power that doesn't fade when the spotlight moves. It lives in the spaces between words, in the glances that linger, in the authenticity that refuses to be compromised. They remind us that celebrity, at its best, is not about noise, it's about connection. And true presence, the rarest kind, doesn't ask to be noticed. It simply exists, and in doing so, changes the way we see, feel, and remember. Fame passes. Presence, when real, becomes legacy. For decades, Hollywood stood as the unquestioned gatekeeper of global beauty, influence, and celebrity. Its golden lights and well-rehearsed glamour shaped what the world thought stars should look like, how they should act, and what kind of charisma was worthy of attention. But something has shifted. Not suddenly, but inevitably. The world is no longer looking in just one direction. The monopoly on what it means to be a global star is quietly dissolving, and in its place, a far richer, more diverse vision is emerging. Hollywood, once the dream factory, has become in many ways a mirror of repetition, recycling faces, favoring familiarity, and often overlooking authenticity in its pursuit of spectacle. It has taken for granted its central role in defining value, assuming the world would always look to it for validation. But the rise of voices and visions from across Asia, like those of Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo, reveals a deeper truth. People are no longer waiting for the West to decide who is worthy of attention. What makes this moment so profound is that it is not born from rebellion, but from quiet excellence. Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo have not demanded a seat at the table. They've simply built a new one. Their artistry, presence, and cultural impact transcend language and geography. They offer something Hollywood too often forgets: sincerity, stillness, and storytelling without ego. Audiences across continents are waking up to something that feels more human, more truthful, more aligned with how we wish to connect. Hollywood is no longer the only lens through which we see greatness. It is no longer the final word. The world is expanding, and the center of gravity has shifted. Now, stars rise from all corners of the earth, and shine just as brightly. In every era, there comes a quiet turning point, when the ideals we once held as universal begin to shift, not in protest but in quiet evolution. Today, we stand at such a moment. The global audience, once content with the images served to them, is now curating its own vision of beauty, artistry, and truth. A new generation is watching, not passively, but with intent. They are not just observing, they are choosing. And what they're choosing is strikingly different from what came before. This generation does not crave perfection sculpted in the traditional Western mold. They are drawn to nuance, to complexity, to those who wear their humanity without apology. That is why figures like Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo are no longer just admired. They are studied, reflected upon, and deeply felt. Their presence signifies more than aesthetic appeal. It represents a new ideal, one where vulnerability is strength, stillness is power, and authenticity outshines theatrics. These are not idols born from marketing machines. They are artists who carry grace without effort, who move through fame with humility, and who radiate a kind of inner clarity that speaks across cultures and languages. For the younger audience especially, they offer not just inspiration, but aspiration. Not to be more famous, but to be more real, more present, more grounded in truth. The shift we are witnessing isn't superficial. It's cultural, emotional, and lasting. Icons are no longer chosen by studios or algorithms. They're chosen by hearts. And as the world becomes more connected, it also becomes more discerning. This generation is not simply watching stars rise. They're redefining what stars should be. And in doing so, they're not just observing history, they're writing it one quiet, conscious choice at a time. Both Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo are quietly working on projects that transcend language, art films, musical collaborations, charitable campaigns. Speech balloon rumors hint at a cross-cultural short film exploring silence as a storytelling device. No words, just expression. Musical notes, another whispers of a global musical performance in a silent art museum in Florence. There's even talk of a campaign highlighting mental wellness through quiet presence. They are not chasing relevance. They are creating legacy. Orange Heart, conclusion. They didn't just break rules. They rewrote them. The story of Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo is not about trend. It's about truth. Proves that beauty doesn't need to shout. Charisma doesn't need to be rehearsed. Global recognition doesn't need to be forced. And sometimes the most powerful revolutions begin with silence. If you felt something today, if this story moved you, surprised you, or made you see beauty in a new way, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We've got more stories like this. Quiet revolutions, hidden gems, and moments the world can't afford to miss. Movie Camera, leave a comment below. What does global beauty mean to you? And share this with someone who needs a little reminder that grace still matters. Folded hands, thank you for watching. Dizzy, stay curious. Stay inspired. And until next time, keep your eyes open for the moments that don't scream, but still shake the world.